All right, good evening. Welcome to the MVP Action Grant discussion on the Keys Road Culvert or Public Information Panel for 2025. My name is Justin Enright. I'm the Conservation and Planning Agent from the Gardner Office of Community Development and Planning. And to my left here is Matt Zorek from Ty and Bond. Thank you for joining us and welcome to our presentation. All right, so the project, so the city of Gardner, just off of Route 68 and about 100 feet off Keys Road, is a failing culvert which we've identified needs replacing. This sees an 8-foot diameter culvert replaced with a 24-foot wide bridge in order to meet a lot of compliance standards for modern regulations. Matt, would you like to
Sure.
on that?
Yeah, so the existing culvert is an 8-foot corrugated metal pipe. It was lined at one point, we believe, around early 2000s, but it's been showing signs of deterioration, degradation. It's also undersized for its purpose. So as part of the replacement options we went through, the proposed approach was to go with a 24-foot wide kind of bridge structure, culvert structure, precast. A couple reasons for the size is to meet new stream crossing standards. Bank full width was around 19 feet. So to go 1.2 times bigger than that, we got to the 24 feet to meet stream crossing standards. The other thing shown in this kind of section here is the natural stream bottom. So we'd be putting, it wouldn't be a closed structure, it'd be open bottom to kind of match and mimic the existing stream, upstream and downstream. So natural sediment would go back in there. So this allows for better stream connectivity and also wildlife passage and also more resiliency to flood events in the future.
All right, that's good. All right, project importance. So as we previously stated, the function of this culvert and the size of the culvert are insufficient at the current timeline. The lifespan, which typically for culverts, if I'm not mistaken, Matt, depending on characteristics, is approximately 50 years.
Yep.
And is at risk due to current timeline events with weather patterns for increased flooding and eventual failure. And though some preventative measures were implemented in the past, they only really served as a band-aid. And with borrowed time, we want to be proactive in our efforts to replace this in a timely manner.
Yep. Yeah. In addition, I guess the important part of it is, in addition to the kind of the hydraulics of flooding events and stuff like that, and also stream crossing standards and wildlife passage, is that this is the only access point into the community. Through Keys Road, there's not another access road, so if this culvert was to fail at some point, then people would be kind of stranded on the other side of the road, which again, there's no signs of immediate failure with this culvert, but it is showing signs of deterioration. There's some deterioration in the roadway surface above it as well. So this project would help, reinforce and rebuild a new culvert structure there with a approximately 75-year useful lifespan that would be, significant to the community.
Current project status, through a DER funded grant, which was awarded back in 2021, the city was able to fund its concept and design phases. In addition, in 2022-2023 era, the city was also able to work with Ty and Bond to complete all necessary permitting for the project.
Yep. Yeah, and I guess just a little backstory on that. So once the award was granted in 2021, there's a bunch of things we had to do before we kind of got into design and permitting, which included, evaluating the existing structure, coming up with an alternatives analysis to figure out what structures would be best suited for here. Wetlands were delineated, survey was completed, and also geotechnical borings were completed for subsurface conditions. So we kind of took all that information, we did alternatives analysis between a concrete structure like it was a precast kind of flat top concrete structure, which is the preferred alternative in the design. We also looked at an arch structure. We also looked at a steel bridge with stringers type of construction. Ultimately, we settled on the precast box structure due to hydraulic considerations and just the economics of it. It's for maintenance purposes, and longevity was kind of made the most sense. But as Justin mentioned, the design was completed, all permitting was completed, which included notice of intent, Chapter 85 approval of Mass DOT through the bridge program. Because the span was over 10 feet, it had to go through Chapter 85 approval. So at this point, we have all permits in hand required for the project. The design is complete, so we're just awaiting project funding to move forward and get it out to bid.
And then upon, eventually being awarded funding, then the city and its associated parties can move forward with bidding, construction, and then completion of, the new piece of infrastructure. We hope to, have, at least part, if not full funding, through the MVP action plan. Project intent, touched upon a couple of these already, but, these are some of the 6, priority intents that the project seeks to show improvement on. One is to maintain access for land and property owners and to the public for those that also utilize, the nearby conservation area. Again, as we touched upon in the beginning, the new piece of infrastructure or stream crossing, we're hoping to increase longevity of infrastructure. Because depending on characteristics, culverts only have 50 years and new requirements have a minimum of a 75-year lifespan, depending. Through increasing the size of the culvert, the stream crossing, we are hoping to reduce flow constriction so the brook can fall back with, what its blueprint may have originally been, or be closer to that, from before the culvert was put into place. And in doing so, we're also hoping to improve continuity of the stream. The enlarged size will improve wildlife passage for fauna that choose to, go through that. And then climate adaptation and resilience and nature-based solutions, in a time where weather patterns seem to be, fluctuating in a more extreme pattern, it's good to increase size so we can limit the risk of flooding and other potential hazards which could occur, as a result of changing conditions that already exist or pre-existing. So, all right. And so that brings us to the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Action Grant, or MVP. So funding from this grant is used for planning and implementation to improve climate resiliency and focus on community priority projects. In light of the associated costs and needs of the project, the city has applied for MVP both in FY22 and FY25. As far as the city achieved its MVP 1 designation in FY 2019, we are currently an MVP region for the greater Connecticut River Valley, and a lot of the top hazards identified are heavy rains or severe storms, winter storms, urban fires, and flooding. As far as competitive MVP needs, the city has to look at realistic budget and schedule, meaningful community support, involvement through the life of the project partnerships, and letters of support from the community. Matt, you also want to quickly touch upon that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things, especially as we saw through some previous applications, is just generating support around the project. And, you know, it's a competitive program, so we're going up against other projects in the state that have similar needs. So yeah, a lot more partnerships and letter of support and more organization you can have around a project that you can provide to MVP to show, you know, it's a well-warranted project, helps in the process. So that's one of the things for tonight is to you know, make sure everyone's aware of the project, the importance of the project, and then if people are willing to support it as well, it's very, very useful.
So, budget and schedule. So, it has fluctuated over the years, but as of recent analysis, as of August 2025, the estimated budget for this project is a little over $2 million, and due to shifting requirements with the grant, though not confirmed yet, the city may be expecting to see a potential grant match. We don't know the confirmed number yet, but we're estimating it could be somewhere in the range of 10%. And as far as fiscal year schedule, task one, already done project kickoff, and management and reporting for as far as we've come along with the project. We're currently pretty far into task two, where we are implementing strategies of community engagement for FY25. Tasks 3 through 5, bidding phase services, construction phase services, and construction itself are pending funding.
Yeah, I just add on the price of the culvert itself and the project. You know, this was completed, like I said, you know, back in 2023, I think, when we finished the permitting and the drawings. And then obviously, you know, prices escalate throughout the years. So with the $2 million price tag, that includes the escalation of when, you know, it was previously designed. Also, just to hint on this, part of this project too, because it is the only way in and out of the Keys Road area. There's a phased approach that has to be done with this project. You can't just, you know, shut the road down completely since it's the only way in. So you kind of have to do the culvert in two phases and keep one way of travel open the whole time, which also adds a little cost and a length of duration of the construction. So that's factored into this cost as well.
Alright, and so far as partnerships, the city is currently in the process of seeking a partnership with North County Land Trust, as they are a primary stakeholder or landowner.
Is this room 219?
Oh, for 219 for city council chambers?
I'm looking for room 219 that had this.
Oh, yep, this is us.
You're in the right spot. Yep.
Yep.
You're correct. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we just have a presentation going to here, and it's recording too, so if you want to just listen in, if you have questions in a little bit.
Yeah, and we can go, and once we're done, we can go back to certain slides too, if you have questions as well. Yep, and so, as Keith Road is the only access for numerous residences, it's also the only access point for the conservation area as well. And, you know, in pursuing these partnerships, we hope to also improve emphasis and support for the project implementation to MVP reviewers at the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs. Proposed outreach. So we've been hard at work, you know, for FY25, trying to nail down our strategies for implementing that. This public information panel, for example, serves as a primary way of trying to engage the community and seek community involvement for this upcoming grant cycle. During and post-construction, we are hoping to implement educational signage at the project site for both project and other purposes. We are also hoping to rely on North County Land Trust and potentially the Gardner Community Action Committee for additional outreach and support. Direct mailers have been sent to primary stakeholders, neighborhood residents, to inform them of current status of the project and next steps. And many of these materials have also been implemented online at the city website through the Community Development and Planning Department. So what do we need from the community, or what does Gardner need? So hopefully, you know, if those of you that have joined us, or those that may not have joined us, but if people have questions, they can come and contact us. Hopefully if people, you know, are willing to and have the time, we would really appreciate if we could ask for letters of support from the community, as every voice when it comes to projects or situations like this, every voice matters, and every voice is important when it comes to showing the community need for the funding to implement projects such as this. And so with that, we would like to open the floor for questions. Yeah. Does anybody in the audience have any questions for tonight? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any questions? You want us to start anywhere in particular? I know you joined a little late. Do you have any questions about the project at all, or anything?
What's it say?
So, do you have any questions about the project at all, or are you looking for general information, or?
Oh, I was wanted to find out about that underpass on the Keys Road.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
it was they're gonna start work on it or something like that.
So we're trying to just inform folks of the project and the need for the project, and basically it has been designed at this point. It's been permitted at this point. The city's just looking for funding. So one funding source that they're eventually, maybe looking into is the MVP grant program, which would help fund the majority portion of the project. So tonight we're just trying to educate people on what the project is, and hopefully find some people that are in support of the project and get ready for the grant application to submit it.
So they're going to dig underneath where they're gonna put in a new underpass. They're gonna dig that all underneath there. Will they have the road closed? Have the road closed? It's like.
Yep. Yeah. So the plan is currently now there's an 8-foot wide diameter metal pipe culvert there essentially. That would be completely removed, and a new 24-foot wide box culvert would be installed. But because that's the only road in, it would be a phased construction. So there would always be a one-way access, and there would probably be temporary traffic signals or something involved to control traffic during construction. But access would always be open to at least a single lane to allow people in and out during the construction.
So, this is supposed to, is this gonna start, next year?
Yeah, so the start date is really determined by funding right now. So the MVP program, which the city will be likely applying for, is that in the spring?
So in order to get the funding, we'll have to have our submission ready for April of this following calendar year, so April of 2026, and typically they're awarded, I think, in early, mid to late summer, maybe
Yeah.
August. So if we get funding August, we could potentially see,
2027 potentially.
yeah, 2027 would be the year that we initiate construction.
I think that road is like all built up kind of high, you know, the road is kind of high up from where that underpass is, so, they're gonna have to bring machines down off the road to go down there to dig through there or something like that.
Yeah, I think the intent would try to be to access as much from the road as they can. You know, they'll probably bring in some decent sized machinery. I forget what the limits of clearing are, but yeah, there will be some probably clearing on the shoulders to get equipment in and excavate. So, but again, it would only be half at a time, you know, to leave the road open. So they would excavate, they would put their footings in, they would set the new structure on that side, then they would get that all paved or, you know, covered and paved to get a new road section built over there, and then they would kind of switch the side of the road and then do the same thing on the other side.
So that means they have to put in they'll have to do some excavation to bring like a road down there to bring machines down there or something like a.
Yeah, I mean, the machinery can reach quite a bit, so they should be able to dig a lot of it. I mean, a lot of that logistical stuff will have to be talked with the contractor, you know, in terms of means and methods of how they would actually complete it. But what we have is design showing, you know, what the bridge structure is going to be, how there's going to be temporary traffic management. You know, they would have to be responsible for temporary, you know, making sure that the stream can still get through during construction. So a lot of that stuff would be determined by the contractor and how they actually do it, but we kind of give them the parameters of what needs to be done, and what our design would be.
Is there like other towns that they tried this in, they put in, you know, like maybe some other towns around that have a similar problems and how they how things turned out there. Like I know there's one road in either it was Hubbardston or Westminster. There was a bridge across this stream, and the way they solved that problem is like the road was a very narrow road. Only one car at a time could go through there, and they finally there was excavation went on there, and what they did is they just dug out the stream, just dug out an open trench in the stream, and then they put these wooden pilings on it and just put a bridge over it. So that's a little different than what they're going to do here.
Yeah, I guess to the initial question, you know, there's undersized and failing culverts all over the state and all over the country. You know, so there's multiple projects that are replacing culverts all the time, and this is just one other example of that, where we're going to replace it with you know, taking it. A lot of the existing culverts are undersized and they're smaller. And in Massachusetts, that's why you have the stream crossing standards, is to make sure hydraulically you can pass larger storms, but also for wildlife passage. So it will be you know, we're making a bigger structure, which is not, but it's typical for other projects in the state as well. This would not be a first of its kind.
Yeah, because this stream was shallow and it was close to the road.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I have all the information that I need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you showing up. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, before you go, no, I was gonna ask him to sign, but, okay. But, yeah, I guess if there are no more questions, I believe that this will conclude our presentation for the evening. Thank you to everybody that came in, and if, for those that weren't able to make it tonight, if anybody has any questions in relation to this project and its statuses throughout the time being, feel free to reach out to the Office of Community Development and Planning here at the City of Gardner. My name's, again, Justin Enright, Conservation and Planning Agent. If you want to contact me, please look on the website for my signature and mediums of contact. So, and be happy to answer or address any questions accordingly. So, thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.